Okay. I know I'm not the only entrepreneur out here in these internet streets that needed a break from social media. So here's my story of what my breakup looked like and what I do now. P.S. This is an interview from a summit I spoke at about growing your business without social media so that you can eliminate or at least choose how much of social media that you want to be a part of. You don't have to rely on it solely. So, if you're interested in getting the replays from the summit, where the speakers in the summit actually give 10 different ways for you to grow your business without social media, then make sure you head to
Mhm.
the description of this video to get access.
Black women, corporate professionals, and entrepreneurs a tangible framework to create work life balance called the Life Edit Method. After burning out as a technical designer in corporate, Rashida ventured out on her own using entrepreneurship as her pathway to lifestyle freedom so that she could ditch toxic cultures of being on all the time and always proving herself to living her best life. Her most notable accolade is being able to be present when her goddaughters were born and being able to spend months with friends and family anywhere in the world at any time without having to ask for time off. I'm thrilled to introduce Rashida to you today, so let's get going. Hey, Rashida, thank you so much for being here with me today. I can't wait to dive into your story of breaking off the toxic relationship that you had with social media.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into all the things. And the first thing I want to talk about is kind of when you got started on social media, why you did, and how did you like it when you were first starting out?
Yeah. So let me tell you, I think I was a late adopter. Like, yes, I'm a millennial, but I waited until I was going on this year-long mission trip called the World Race. And I was like, oh, everybody at home is going to want to see my picture. I guess I should get on social media. So it was like a last kind of minute type of thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get on Insta because I think I had Facebook, but I didn't Instagram. And that was like the first time I got on it. So I was a bit resistant. I didn't know how to use it. And, we kind of start feeling like, oh, how much should I share? How much is too much to share? How much is not enough to share? So I was super resistant to it. I was just like, I don't know if I could really do this. And it's kind of, I mean, that wasn't like I didn't start at the top on this. I started probably at the bottom level of getting on social media trying to figure out how it's gonna make this work.
Okay, I love it. I actually started with Facebook in college. It came out while I was in college. It was just a directory. We could say like little tiny updates or whatever, but you couldn't really comment or like or do anything. So I started at the ground zero really of social media, which is so interesting because I've seen it evolve and all the things. And now I actually really don't use it very much at all. Like I have accounts, I don't use it, and I love not using it. But I see some value in being able to use it in a healthy way and all the things. So that's why I love having this conversation. Now, you said world race, and I know this has nothing to do with social media, but what was that? Like that sounds really fun.
Yeah. So it's this 11-month mission trip where you go to 11 countries in 11 months. And the whole goal is that you're spreading the love of Jesus wherever you go. Now, while that's the goal, the thing that I love the most about it is that your relationship with Jesus grows while you're on the trip. Like you are put out of your comfort zone times 10. Like there's no such thing as comfort zone on this trip. And that makes you lean on him so much more. And it developed so much of my relationship with the Lord, with where I am now and the things that I've done after that. So it's huge. It's definitely they promote it for, like, college age to 35, and I was 32 when I did it, so I was definitely the oldest person in my squad, but I'm glad I did it, and I will also say there's also I've now being on the other side, there's beautiful ways to recreate that for all ages, so I say that to say everybody should do this trip where you go completely out of your comfort zone and you don't have a choice but to say, Lord, you're gonna have to show up if I'm gonna get through this. So yeah, that's what that trip was.
What a great growth builder too, just stepping out of that comfort zone, saying yes to something that you're like, not sure that's gonna be exciting or good or what's gonna happen. Like, yeah. And then really, I feel like when we step out of our comfort zone like that, we really see growth and change. Like it becomes a beautiful thing.
If you allow it, it's like my favorite way to think of it is if you get on a roller coaster is fun, but it's also scary and thrilling. And so you could either white knuckle it on the roller coaster, or you could throw your hands up in the air with crazy eyes and say, "Whee!" Like you can try to go through it. And so it's this always is that tension. So it can really be fun if you try it.
Love it. I feel like there can be some of that tension with social media too. So let's dive
Mhm.
into that a little bit. There are some different phases that you've gone through with your relationship with social media. So, what have they looked like? Like, you started because you thought people would want to see what you were doing on this mission trip to all the different countries. So, that's where you got started. But what did it look like throughout the years?
Yeah. So then after I came back from the mission trip, I decided to start a nonprofit. So then I went from this mindset of I was just showing it for fun to doing it to try to build a nonprofit business. And man, that was hard because it went from being fun to being a job. And you're like, and a job that I didn't feel qualified to do, nor was there a lesson on how to do it. Like it's like you're literally feeling around in the dark. And so I swung from randomly putting things on to posting almost 3 times a day and trying to keep up with all the things the gurus were telling me to do. And you gotta do this and you gotta have miracles and you gotta use all the new features and you gotta catch the trends. And it was like it was so much that I got to a point 2 years ago where I was like, you know what? The hell with everything. Like I got off the social media for a year and a half and it I was just like, I can't do any of it. And I don't even wanna I didn't even go on and look at other people's posts. I just cold turkey, I thought. I needed something better. And it took me quite a while to figure out what better was gonna be. But I realized that I mean, I really had went from one extreme to the other, like random to full on. I needed something in between, and I had to figure out for myself what did I need in that. What was I trying to get out of it? And it was all about me making some decisions for me rather than trying to do what someone said I should do. I speak a lot about getting out of the should because 9 times out of 10, we're doing things because we feel like we should do it, not because we know it's going to actually help us accomplish the thing or that we even want to do it. We're just doing it because it's some outside factor or obligation that makes us feel like we should do it. And I was like, I can't do that anymore. I have to stop.
Okay, the should. Okay, we need to eliminate that right now because I felt the same
Mm-hmm.
way getting started. It was like, oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that. And I threw a lot of things out the window, including social media or being everywhere and repurposing everything. At least as a solopreneur, when I didn't have this big team in the beginning, I couldn't do that. But I tried it and it led to burnout. And so having that should and taking that out of our vocabulary to say, where where do we need to show up that's going to
Mm-hmm.
actually be beneficial and be intentional, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's so huge. And when you figure and it's a part of like looking introspectively and say, well, who am I? Like for me, the conversation was, I'm not gonna be a TikTok dancer. I'm not gonna be an Instagram dancer. I'm not that funny. Like I'm not gonna be the mean girl. So it was like, well, then what kind of person am I gonna be? And once I did that and I looked at what the different platforms offered, it made it easier for me to decide which was gonna be the platform for me, at least the primary. And maybe I'll do some of the secondaries, but what's the primary one for me, you know?
Right. And it can change. Like our businesses
Mhm.
change and evolve so much that over time you may shift to a different platform or to
Yeah.
doing something differently, a different content. And that's okay. It's all about where are you right now and like the season you're in and what's going to work best now for you. And that means for how your audience consumes it, but also how it feels right to show up yourself. And I know that I want to go through some mindset shifts that you've had to do in order to create a better relationship with social media. But I do know that you use it now. So can you just tell me a
Mhm.
little bit about what your business relationship with social media is now and how you do use it?
Yes, of course. So how I use it now, I have a main content strategy and that content. So like when I went on the race, my main content strategy was, and I didn't have a strategy. I don't say that to say I had a strategy then. It was more like, he said you should blog. And it was part of the requirement. So I did it. And here's the thing. I loved blogging. I loved writing because in that season, it was a huge and beneficial way for me to process all the 20 million things that were going on. So I wrote a blog and I did that. And I was trying to figure out, okay, I don't even want to read this much content now. So what am I going to do now? And so I stopped, I did a pit stop into, Instagram, but then I shifted to use YouTube. So now YouTube is my main form of content. And I chose it because I'm a teacher at heart. On Instagram and some of the truly social media platform, people go on there to be entertained. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not an entertainer. Instead, I'm a teacher, I'm a connector, I'm a community person at heart. And I felt like YouTube would give me that ability to make longer videos and share the content and help people overcome the things that I made huge mistakes on. Can share that teaching my learning moments with other people so that they cannot have to deal with the same things that I did. So YouTube is my main bit of content. And then I do some repurposing and posting things in other places. I would say my main other place is TikTok. It's another place that I feel like people will go to learn so I can share clips there. Everything else is like sprinkles on top of the cupcake. The cupcake, the actual cake itself is YouTube. The icing is TikTok and the sprinkles are, the other random places that I post. And there's not nearly as much pressure to do those other things. I don't make those. Those are not a live or die situation.
Mm. And what I like about YouTube too is even though it is social media esque, it also has that evergreen long form content that isn't going to just be here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, you have the shorts and things, but they still kind of live on too. And they can be a way for people to find you. And then there's also the community aspect that YouTube has started to try and create in there. So I do like it for that type of a thing. I think it's a great place to create the long form content, even short form content, and to build some community, but it not being like kind of fruitless because it just goes away. People
Yeah.
can find you all the time.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Especially if you learn how to do the keywords and become searchable and figure out what searchable topic that your people are looking for. Like mine is vision board. At least one time a year, I know that I'm going to get a surge of people because I'm talking about a topic that people are looking for every single year. So it's a different way to continue to get yourself in front of new people and new audiences because you've made yourself, you know,
Yeah, exactly. And if you are listening and you're like, "Ooh, YouTube sounds kind of good, but I don't know how to get started." Day 4, we have Gillian Perkins here talking about YouTube for minimalism. So using it just
Mhm.
a few times or a few hours a week and being able to get noticed and visible in that way. So make sure to stick around for day 4 for that because it is such a great marketing and SEO strategy. So, Rashida, I want to move into the mindset shifts that you've had to have in order to create this relationship. I love that you're using just a couple places, being really purposeful about it. But tell me, what was one of the first things that you needed to do?
So yeah, I would say the first mindset shift that I had to make, I had to let go of the scared feeling of oversharing on Instagram. I think a lot of times we just don't know like what makes it appropriate for us. Like what is appropriate content to share? Because people always say, let people into your lifestyle, let people understand who you are. And you're like, well, should I let you know that I made breakfast this morning or that I did this great thing today? Like, what exactly should I do? And so when I finally figured out that I needed to share content that my target audience was going to want to hear. And they wanted to, and so it really took me being really specific on who my target audience is. And I would say out of the 4 years that I've done my business, that has been the hardest thing because we come into being business owners and we're like, and it makes it so much harder to do this whole marketing thing. So once I got better at, and I would say that's a different mindset, that's a mindset shift as well. Learning how to, number one, decide who my target audience is. And then as I share, be clear that I only need to share things that are going to help that person and the struggles that they're having. I don't have to show everything. And that my business is only one part of my life. So I share things that help around that, but I don't have to share everything. I share things about lifestyle freedom. So here's my other favorite thing. I think that as business owners, we get really skitsy about making friends online. But word. It's like like we don't know how to just say, "Hey, I really like your content. I'd love to be your friend." Instead, we go into this mode of every time that we talk to somebody, it's like, "To sell you my product." And 9 times out of 10, we scare people away. So I really learned how to just make friends online, and that has created some amazing collaborations, some amazing friends. A friend that actually lives here in Charlotte, and like, hey, check out this yoga aerial yoga spot. Like the more that we actually make friends, the more that we can find out and connect with people that are, yes, going to be people that will sell to, but they're also going to be people that we don't sell to. And that's okay. Like, you're not going to sell to everybody, and you don't have to be awkward in the midst of that. But and figuring out what level, which side that person is on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and those friends can be great connections for collaborations. They can be great connections for customers, maybe for giving referrals. Maybe they become your business besties. I know that I actually have really enjoyed finding relationships online, and I have a couple really great masterminds that I'm a part of, and they were all people I met online. And so I think that there's a shift in how we meet people too. Now
Yeah.
I would say in person is still good. Like find those
Yes.
really good nurturing relationships. Don't ditch that. But we're missing something if we're not using the online space to find some more deep relationships too.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. We just got to take the awkwardness and the pressure off of ourselves. Again, it's an opportunity. It can be fun. You know what I mean? Let's allow it to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and even in that, like some of my business besties have shifted their business. Some aren't even doing online anymore, but we're still connected. It's so great. So, yeah, finding that mindset shift of being willing to go connect and network online is a really great place to be. So, tell me, what is another shift that you've had to make?
Okay, so here's the last thing, or maybe not the last thing, but I will say one of the things that I would say is top of mind. Being a dynamic human online, like learning how to show up and be authentic online can be somewhat awkward. Again, like not only when we're in the DMs, but when we're on these lives and different things, like we can feel like we have to show up and be perfect. And taking that should, it's another should, like it's literally all of these different versions of should, taking them away, but specifically the should that I have to be perfect and that the only way you're going to respect me is if I've never made a mistake or I never tell you about my mistake or but those are all lies because people actually connect with us so much better when we say, you know, I did XYZ thing wrong today. And yes, I know that I'm a coach about this, but that's also why I coach about this because it's a passion of my life that I'm still growing. I'm still achieving. I'm still becoming this person that gets to whatever. And I don't even believe a destination, but that continues to grow in that. And so when I got to the point where I can actually say, this might work out the way that I thought, more people started to connect because it wasn't to them, it wasn't backpedaling. To them, it wasn't that I didn't have the expertise. To them, it was that, oh, she's a human. And if she's a human and she can do it, then I'm a human and I can do it too. And most people want to know that we're relatable, that we're not untouchable, that we just make mistakes like everybody else. That was the other thing that was huge for me.
Oh man, I love that. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like, what do you share? But I love that you're willing to share those things because I've learned too, whatever I teach is what I'm tested on. And so I do have learning moments every day. And
Mhm.
and I thought about that for a while. Like, okay, for an example, as I was writing my first book, it took me so dang long to write because I kept going, well, all these limiting beliefs, maybe it's not good enough. Maybe this message isn't worth sharing. And I'm a mindset coach, right? I teach on how to have breakthroughs, but I'm struggling with the things I'm teaching. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, people need to know that. They need to know that even though we're coaching on this, we've learned the tools and the strategies to get through it, but it doesn't mean we're not tested or deal with the things that we're teaching on every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And because we're always in it and we're always learning, we're always having new strategies and things to share. That's why there's always more content because Yale not work for me in that situation, but this actually worked for me better over here. And because I have these multiple things that I've learned by trial and error, is that not what makes it real and relatable content? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what people are looking for now. They want the real, they want the raw, they want the relatable. But they also want to know that you are an expert in what you do and that you can help them. Right. And I think
Yeah.
that gives that story piece to show them that you definitely can. I love these mindset shifts that you're sharing and how you've broken off that toxic relationship with social media, that you now have come to love it, how you're using it now. Would you say that you're using it in the way you want to? And how do you know?
Yes, I would say it definitely feels so much better than any other time I've used social media. And when I say it feels so much better, I mean that I used to have heart palpitations, like trying to get on to do some of these things. I don't have that anymore. I used to feel a lot of doubt about, okay, I'm putting in all this work. Is anything going to come out of it? I can see results happening. I can see people connecting. I can see and it's not like I'm doing quantum leap, but one here, one there, I'm seeing traction happen. I was literally feeling the effects of the stress in my body, and I don't have that anymore. So to me, that's huge because I was like, if this is going to kill me, then I can't do this anymore. I can't do any of it anymore. You know what I mean? Including my business, but learning how to find a new way to manage and actually build a better relationship and boundaries with social media has been so much better for me.
Oh, I love it. And from this whole conversation, one of the takeaways that I have is the should. It's the doing things that I feel like I should do, and rather changing it to doing things that I want to or where I'm feeling called to. And now sometimes God will give us a should, like you're going to do that. And then we should be obedient to that, right? But we shouldn't just take what everyone else says and do it because we feel like we need to. That was my number one takeaway here. What would you say is the thing that you want listeners to take away from our conversation?
I would say the number one thing that I would say take away is, in addition to letting go of the should, also be okay with what you think is C minus work. Because a lot of times we get so stuck into, you gotta be an A plus student that we put so much more pressure on us. We put so much should on us that it bogs us down, it weighs us down, and we never actually either we do so much that it burns us out, or we never do anything and we don't get started. Either way, neither one of those solutions are actually helpful or encouraging or loving to us. So, like, and I think what I've found over the years to get out of that shit is letting go of that need to be A plus and understanding that C minus, first of all, the people who are doing C minus are making millions. Okay. So why am I striving for A plus when and maybe it's actually my perception of what is going to, be success is that off. So tweaking that to actually say, if I'm showing up and I'm doing it in a way that feel encouraging to me, I don't feel obligated. I feel like I'm loving myself well and I'm loving my target audience well. But at the end of the day, I know that me and Jesus are like, this is what we're doing right now is enough. You are enough. Then that's what I want to focus on. And so it's this at the end of the day, I guess the biggest thing that I say, shift your mind out of this A plus way is the way to accomplish and be okay with C minus because you're actually doing really great with C minus work.
Ooh, I love that. I think that C minus means that you're actually putting it out there because sometimes A plus keeps
Hmm.
you stuck and you just keep getting ready to get ready to get ready. And you never are willing to put it out there because you're never going to have A plus, right? You might get to A,
Hmm.
you might get to A minus, but worry about that later. Just do the C plus work and just do the work. Love it.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. I know that listeners are going to want to connect with you and that you have a freebie for us called Fridays. So tell us what they get when they download it.
Yes. So this Freedom Fridays workbook is the workbook that I created to go with my live stream. I do every Friday, I do a live stream class where we get together and we do co-planning together. Because I think, we always, especially as entrepreneurs, we overbook ourselves in two places at once. And so this live stream is about setting ourselves up to really schedule our week out for the next week. So the first thing we do is we celebrate our wins, then we set up our schedule for next week. And then we actually wind down for the weekend. And so we do that every Friday at noon. And this workbook is the walkthrough, the exercises that we do during that time to help you do that because you as an entrepreneur need rest too.
Amen.
And right? And if we don't schedule it, we probably don't do it. So let's take some time and schedule it in. And that is really the core of how we set our week up for success. We schedule work, but we schedule rest, we schedule fun, and that's how we get that work life balance. So I would love for people to take advantage of that.
Ooh, I love it. I love the name Freedom Fridays. It makes you sound so excited to go into the weekend and not to have
Right?
to think about all the things, right? And then also, you have an extra bonus for those who take advantage of the all access pass. So if you haven't snagged that yet, grab it before it's gone. But in this bonus, you have the anti superhero toolkit. All right, I want details.
Yes. So this toolkit is a 4 module toolkit, and the main core of it is that I'm helping you create time and energy budget. So, in the same way that you budget your money so that you don't overbook yourself or that you know exactly where your time, or excuse me, exactly where your money is going, the same thing we're going to do with your time and energy. Your time and your energy are limited resources. You don't get them back. Once you give them away, you don't give them back. So why not make sure they're going to the things that are most important to you? And the way that we could do that with intentionality is by setting up this time and energy budget. And so we look at what are the routines, what are the systems, the life habits, the business systems that are personal to you that are going to help you do that every week with success. And then once you have that and you bring it to the Freedom Finance session, you're really set up to have all the things you need for work life balance as an entrepreneur. It's a 4 module course. I walk you through all of it. And if you're interested, there's even an additional community. But the modules are all about helping you set up that time and energy budget.
Ooh, I love that. So make sure that you get the all access pass. Go get the anti superhero toolkit. It's going to help you with your time, your energy, all the things that you can really build your business how you want and have that flexibility. Rashida, that's something that I love about you, that you talk about the freedom and flexibility and doing it on your terms, being able to go travel and work wherever you are. And so I've just really appreciated this conversation with you today. I know it was so value packed. I took so many mental notes and I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I mean, we always have had great conversations about mindset. So I'm so happy that you continue to bring just amazing conversations to your audience to help them get in the mindset to receive all the things. Because doesn't God have a bunch of amazing things? But if we're blocking our blessing with our mindset, we got to get that out the way. And I love that you set us up to do that.